Well, greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to tonight's second half. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help, and it matters. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with tonight's second half, shall we? Tonight's first encounter. Hello, everyone. I'm 21 years old, and I have a deep feeling and suspect that I have been being hunted by a dogman ever since I was around 12 years old. I'll go into it as deep as I possibly can about the whole backstory and why I think this in a moment. But first, I'd like to explain some things. I've had encounters all my life, all horrible and horrifying, and I even had initially suspected aliens or alien abduction, just because it's too hard for someone to wrap their mind around the whole possible existence of cryptids and inhuman beings. So here are a number of things that I experienced during, before, and after I have encountered these things, or even felt them come near. Burning, raging, and powerful fear that grows as I think about the possibility of them being around. Tapping at my windows, scratching at my door, as if my dog is trying to get inside, but I open it and there is nothing to be seen. Feeling like I am not alone or safe in my own home, or my mind at certain times, specifically nighttime, always nighttime. The fear and the feeling of an entity being around has even caused me at some times in my life to just accept that I had to sleep during the daytime and stay awake at night so I could be careful and protect myself somehow. Dreams of them, not often, but very powerful and vivid nightmares of them. I haven't had one in a long time, but usually when I do, it's of me lost in a very dark forest being pursued by something, having one look through my window and just stare at me the whole duration of my dream. FYI, when I had this dream of one of these things at my window, my brother had the same dreams and actually awoke just before me. A very loud and raspy scream he thought came from the window. Yes, we woke up at the relatively same time in the middle of the night and shared the same kind of dream. Rapid heartbeat, anxiety, stress when thinking or speaking of them like I am now. Waking up with scratches that I couldn't have done by myself, aka in places I cannot reach, or something like that. Even weird and scary light anomalies near my windows. I'll explain as best I can. My bedroom window is facing our backyard, which faces a very deep forest that encompasses the whole backyard and side of the house. So in the middle of the night, it looked as if a car headlight, or even this very still moving flashlight looking light floating past my window. No bouncing, no shakiness, just this very still, bright, calm light that came through the blinds once or twice as if someone or something walked by or was trying to see inside. I ran out to my mother and father, who told me nobody was outside, and they checked for me, and there was no sign of anyone or anything. Paranoia, extreme excessive sweating, and extreme feelings of heat, like a fever when the fear sets in or when I feel one near. And now I'll try my best to tell every experience I have had. Please be kind and supportive, because saying all of this to the public, or even in general, is hard and causes me great fear, but I know it may help, or I could get some advice or help somehow, so here goes. All right, it all starts around the time I was about 11. Around that time, I started to have natural astral projection, and keep in mind, I've always been extremely sensitive to what others cannot see, feel, or understand, and I've always been like this. I remember specifically one week that my family and I had a road trip up to Fergus Falls. It takes about 3 hours to get there, but it was worth it. Even as a fidgety kid, I loved when we got there, even if it meant such a long period of being cramped and cooped in the car. We would go up and visit and stay with my grandparents in this beautiful cabin that they had a timeshare for. It had this gong like bell that you would ring when you got there, that was near the parking area and entrance, and after this, there were wooden pathways that spanned about 60 feet from the dirt road where you parked actually home, and the sliding glass doors and everything. It's a beautiful place. We would always immediately go fish because there's always sunfish that loved the corn we would bait the hooks with, usually just throwing them back, but sometimes eating them and all that jazz. It was such a soothing and amazing place to be as a child, especially as one that was anxious, abused, and bullied. But it always changed at night. One very vivid memory is this one. We had gotten to the cabin and I was immediately sick, as if I had the flu. All of a sudden, when we got there, I wasn't car sick. We had spaghetti for lunch, and I tried to lie on the couch while the whole family went out and fished without me. I was in agony, a migraine, nauseous, etc. And I had started to get so bad that I stumbled out through the glass door to the deck, leading to the dock where they were fishing. Halfway there, I fell to my knees and got sick, thankfully feeling only kind of better after being sick. The rest of the night was a huge blur, honestly, but I started feeling better as time passed. Once night fell and darkness came, my grandparents actually put the X-File VHS, and for some reason, I have no idea why, like no idea at all, as we watched, for some reason I started to get that burning, aching, debilitating fear coming in the pit of my stomach. I think because it was the subject of cryptids and aliens, etc. That was the first time in my life that I had felt that kind of fear. Never ever in my life had I felt something like that before, as if I was close to feeling that there was something near, something that I didn't understand, and something that the house walls would not protect me from if need be. And sadly, as they got done watching, I was feeling so much dread knowing that it was time for bed because I knew I would not be able to sleep for some odd reason again, as if I knew something was or would watch me while I was asleep. It was so bad that I had to have my mom come and sleep with me, even then I could not. For the life of me, I remember seeing things, but not clearly through the windows and the spotlight windows on the ceiling. That's mostly the end of that one, but I have much more. I only tell one more of my experiences because telling them is causing me to become numb with anxiety and fear seeping in. I was at my other grandparents' home at the time, and I must state that their home is on what used to be Lakota Sioux land, even adjacent to what is called the Sioux Line Trail. I was living there actually while doing online school, and I would have the same exact feelings come at night, but much worse and more powerful. Once night came specifically. My bedroom door was to my right, closet to the wall I was facing, and the bed faced. And right outside my bedroom door, if you took two sharp lefts, you walked a few feet and there was a back door. I thought that in this bout of burning fear, I heard the doorknob rattle or even the door open. Even if it was locked and nobody was up, I would have heard and seen them through the angle of my bedroom door. I confirmed it in the morning that nobody was up at the time. This all happened in a span of 1 or 2 minutes. After I thought I heard this occur, I felt a presence right on the other side of the wall between me and the back door. The fear somehow grew to an amount I couldn't fathom. And then, so slowly, too slowly, I heard what sounded like large nails being softly and very creepily dragged across the wall. The sound was coming toward my bedroom door, and the sound got closer. I closed my eyes and started to say prayers aloud, crying and almost urinating because of how scared I was that I may see something peeking around that bedroom door. It stopped once it got to the end of the wall. I didn't see it after holding my eyes shut, crying and begging for God and Jesus to protect me. Somehow I fell asleep. I have no idea how. I told myself it's probably in my mind, that it's not real. Maybe I was asleep, but I knew I wasn't. Now, I really haven't seen a dogman in the woods, just staring at me through my windows and in my dreams. I truly do believe that this creature is hunting me and is only waiting for its time to get me while I'm alone, possibly in the woods, or maybe in my house. Tonight's second encounter. So, me and my girlfriend decided to go spend the night far out in the Sierra Nevadas. I'd only camped at that spot 2 times before, but I grew up hunting and fishing. All throughout the Ice House area, I've spent a lot of time deep in the high Sierras, and I've never run into anything supernatural or out of the ordinary. I've seen and heard plenty of bear, mountain lion, coyote, and other animals, but on this night, me and my girlfriend were lying down watching a downloaded movie on our laptop when we heard a mountain lion scream, female mating call. And I think, no biggie, I'll scare it away. I carry a 9mm, it's midnight, and I take the flashlight out and start yelling and getting big to scare it off. It returns with more screams and a growl. I eventually get my light on it and completely froze. I mean, dead still, not a single movement. I shot the tree next to it from about 40 feet away to try to scare it off, and nothing, it didn't budge, so I had my girlfriend unlock the car and get in. But we couldn't find the keys at that point. I moved the flashlight to help her with the keys, and I heard it scream again, this time within 25 feet. I shot another round off, and it screamed and got closer. We find the keys, and realize that my wallet and phone are in the tent. So after gathering some fortitude, I get out and hop out and slowly walk backwards towards the tent. As soon as I get to the tent, it screams again. I yell back at it, and it just screams again, this time much closer. I run back to the car, and as soon as I got into the car, this creature went quiet, not a peep after that. The other thing to note is the bugs did not go quiet. There were also deer up on that ridge behind us that were not affected by the gunshots. Not only that, but this creature that seemed to be healthily was not afraid of gunshots. In all of my life, I have never ran into an animal that I had to scare away, not run, from the sound of a gun. It was very unsettling, so we spent the night in the parking lot in the car. Tonight's third encounter. I'm from South Louisiana. My grandmother lived in a little shack in the bayou. One evening, when I was 10, she was watching me. My cousin walks over from his house a few miles down the road. He was 20 at the time. We're all chatting and have the door open, but the screen door was shut. He said that when he was walking over here, he saw a huge black dog. He joked and said, maybe it's the rougarou. My grandmother jumps up and screams from La Patte in Cajun French, which means shut the door. My cousin slams the door and asks what's wrong. She said we never speak that name. Fast forward 15 years, I'm 25 and I live in Texas. Every year I go and visit my parents for Thanksgiving. My mom and dad live in a house with my 2 younger brothers in Madisonville, Louisiana. Their house is in the woods by Lake Pontchartrain. Recently, my dad has gotten into fitness and is going on night runs. One night I went with him. We were running by the lake when I saw a huge black dog. I joked and said, look, a rougarou. I was thinking back to my experience with my cousin and the big black dog. My dad freezes and tells me to turn around now. We booked it back home. When we got home, I asked him why he was so scared. It was just a dog, right? He told me to be quiet, lock the doors, and we went to bed. I wake up at 1 a.m. and decide to go outside for a cigarette. My parents have a screened pool. Their house backs up to the woods. I go and sit by the pool and start smoking when I hear it, branches crackling like something walking through the woods. I stand up and turn a flashlight on my phone. I didn't see anything and just assumed it was deer. Then I see this huge black giant canine. I walk to the screen door that leads from the pool to the backyard, and I see these two eyes staring at me from the woods. It was human height, which was weird because I had just seen the dog. I call out hello with no response and start backing away toward the house. This thing starts advancing toward me, and I run inside and lock the door. The next day, I tell my mom, and she gets upset. Well, your dad told me you said its name, so what did you expect? I looked at her and said, what, Rougarou? She throws down dishes she's doing and says, finish these. So I do, and the week progresses, and there are no other incidents. I had no idea that my family was so superstitious. Tonight's final encounter. My dad lives near a woodland track that's perfect for dog walking, and during the lockdown, he got a dog, which I've not had much interaction with due to nearly 2 years of restrictions. This dog can become anxious and worried when she can't find someone she recognizes. So we decided the best way to get her comfortable with me would be for me to take her for a walk along the track. I would let her off her lead and she would wander. I'd call her name and she'd come back. It was towards the end of the walk that stuff got very strange and creepy. It's starting to get a little dark, and as we're nearing the end of the track and the beginning of the main road to go home, I call the dog back and put her lead on. All of this is fine till she is back by my side. Just as I'm leaning down to put her lead on, I hear a noise in the woods. And my dad's dog hears it as well, and nearly sprints after it. I manage to get a hold of her lead in time and look toward the noise. Then I hear it again, a voice calling my dog's name, just as I had been walking. And I don't just mean calling her name. I mean, it was doing its best trying to copy and mimic my voice. I felt like completely frozen in place. I didn't want to turn my head from the woods in case whoever or whatever this was came running out at me. I was praying I was hearing things. Then, just like time before, but this time, from the spot closer to us, the voice called out for the dog. It was at this point I grabbed the dog and ran. This was a very brief encounter, but still to this point is a terrifying situation that I've never been in. Alright guys, some creepy encounters to end the night with. I hope you guys enjoyed them. I want to thank you all for your support and listening. Sorry about the grammar. Definitely not my fault. Sometimes when I get these encounters sent to me, the mistakes are not fixable because there's too many, so I try to do it in my head as I'm reading them. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. And everyone stay safe, please. And may the Great Spirit watch over us all and guide us through that path that, well, we call life.